You can do some pretty cool things with smart layers in Photoshop. For this tutorial, we'll take a look at how you can use it for transforming. I'm going to copy this old car to a new document that's roughly 11 by 8 at 150 pixels and paste it in. And I'm going to make a couple of layers here and keep one as a regular pixel layer, and this top one I'm going to turn into a smart object. You can convert one or more layers into a smart object by choosing them in your layers panel, right clicking, and convert to smart object. You'll then get this little icon at the bottom of your thumbnail indicating that it's now a smart object. That means that you won't be able to paint or erase any of the pixels on this layer, but you can still do things like transform it or apply a layer style to it. If we want to edit the pixels in it, you have to do that another way, and we'll get to that in a future tutorial. This one's for transforming. So let me show you the really cool thing about this. If I go to my regular pixel layer and do the transform where I make it really small, finalize it, and then make it really big again, I get this nasty pixelated appearance. However, sometimes there's projects you're working on where it's just useful to be able to be really free in how you're transforming an object, so you don't have to worry about making it only go from big to small. So here I've got my layer that is a smart object, and I'm going to do that exact same transform, make it small, finalize, and make it big. And you can see there is no loss of detail. The reason for this has become a nested file image. The image itself has actually been copied to its own separate little document that is in a temporary place and remains untouched. So this is sort of like a temporary image of the real thing, and because we didn't change the size on the real thing, this one keeps all of its detail. The other great thing about transforming with a smart object is when you transform and, for example, do a rotate and then finalize it, the next time you go back to transform, those controls will stay where they were before. On a regular pixel layer, that's not the case. If I make a transformation and finalize it, when I hit transform again, that transform control is reset to the edges of the image, and I have lost all sort of orientation to its original position, whereas this other one, I can clearly come back and set the angle. I say set the angle deliberately because up here in the tool control bar you can see that there is an angle setting. If I know, for example, that I need this to be at -20 degrees, I can type that in and leave it there. And then if I ever need it to be back perfectly straight again, when I go back into transform, I could change that to 0 and leave that there. Warp has also been made a lot better by changing this into a smart object. When I transform, right click and choose warp, make my cartoony looking changes here, and hit enter, I can go back into those same controls just like I did before with the rotation. So go back into transform, Command T, right click and choose warp, and there are all my settings. They haven't been lost. When I hit enter, I can go back out of that. Once I have something really truly finalized and I may want to still paint into it or affect those layers, if I don't really need it to be a smart object anymore, you can return it to being a regular pixel layer by rasterizing it. You do this by right clicking on the layer and choosing rasterize layer, which in layman's terms just means turning whatever it is into pixels. So now it's just a regular pixel layer which I could erase or paint onto if I really needed to.